What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I am your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're talking all about Halo Campaign Evolved. It's coming to PlayStation. What does that mean for the future of Xbox? Before I get to that and more, I got to introduce my co-host hanging out with me, Sam Heaney. How are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good, man. It's been a turbulent few weeks for the both of us, shall we say. But no, I'm good. I have been sort of head down in work, which has been a blessing and a curse, where I sort of just before we went live, I was sort of saying I wish I was doing anything other than work right now. But at the same time, I think if I wasn't doing the work, I would probably be wishing that I was. So yeah, I've this week has flown by for me personally. Which
nice.
is, I mean, yeah, in I'm sure as you will discuss shortly, I was expecting to still sort of feel that passage of time being so glacially slow, and that hasn't really been the case this week, and I do appreciate that. So yeah, I'm on the mend, shall we say? How about you?
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I'll take the turbulence
That's
as
right.
you put it. And Rick is pointing out in the chat, turbulence is a choice of words considering Kevin's current play. That
Hmm.
is certainly the case because let me tell you, I feel like I haven't slept more than 4 hours a night this week. And we'll get into what we're playing and stuff, but man, having made plans to go to a different country and get married and have like a big skirt, like, yeah, you spend thousands upon thousands of dollars, right, to do all this. And
Hmm.
then the week before, you just hear, oh, there's a hurricane coming. I'm like, all right, you know, they get hurricanes sometimes. Oh, it's really growing. Oh, it's going to be the most powerful hurricane to ever hit the island, category 5. um so obviously a little stressed because
Hmm.
it didn't know what that meant for my plans as I'm supposed to leave on Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday. Actually, we record Thursday. If you're listening on Sunday, it'd be in a few days. So I called Monday this past week. I think it was Monday before the hurricane, like right before the hurricane basically touchdown, and I was like, "What's going on, y'all? Like, should I be worried? Like, should we make alternative plans?" And this is what they told me:
Okay.
just give us a call back later. We're hoping for the best. We think it's gonna be okay. We think everything will still be going according to plan. Just give us a call back, check in later this week. I hung up the phone and I honestly could not believe that's what they told me because I'm like, this is a category 5.
Hmm.
You're like, the island's gonna be gone. Um, and lo and behold, the airports are closed. I think the prime minister said tourism isn't open again until December 15th. Yada yada yada. You know, you're seeing all these pictures of like, used to be sunny and vibrant, and like there used to be homes here, and now it's just like gray, dirty. Everything's like flat, and I'm like, oh my god, like. So even if we could go, wouldn't be a great experience.
Yeah.
So I spent about 6 hours on hold yesterday trying to sort all this out. Get customer service.
Hmm.
We got trip protection, figure it all out. I never talked to a single soul yesterday. 6 hours, and I'm
Yikes.
like, okay, all right. Tons of other people probably in the same boat, right? So my fiance gets up early this morning. She calls. She gets through relatively quick. Great. I'm at work. They conference call me in. I'm like, okay, I'll step away for like 30 minutes. Nah. 2 hours later, we have everything settled. We've switched our resort. We're going to a different island in the Caribbean where we've changed all the dates and all our plans. So we're not getting married next week as we planned. We are now going to um, get married in January.
Okay.
So a few months away. Honestly, not the end of the world because
Sure.
in retrospect, they're actually giving us we're going to a resort that's about $5,000 more expensive than where we were staying,
Mm.
but they're not charging us any more money.
Oh.
So I'm
Psyop.
yeah, I'm happy. Yes, yeah. You know those weather nodes with the well, they're coming in handy. No, it worked out for I
Yeah,
think best out. I said it. I think on Blue Sky, best possible outcome. Like obviously, I would have loved to go to
of
Jamaica. I'd
course, of
love to
course,
experience the culture and everything there, and just have a good time as we planned. But this is probably the best outcome that I could have hoped for after such a horrible situation. And obviously, I hope Jamaica recovers. I look
of
forward to
course.
going there, hopefully one day in the future. And I hope everyone down there is safe after such a horrible event. But it was a very stressful situation.
I can imagine.
That just when you have so much money wrapped up in something, you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know,
Hmm.
trying to, especially when it's only a few days from when you're supposed to leave. So, yeah, I've had a stressful week, but that is what it is, and everything. We've turned a page. Now it's good. Yeah, now genuinely,
Exhale.
I felt like 500 pounds just got lifted off of me afterwards, and I was like, "Ugh,
Hmm.
I feel so much better now. I could like live my life."
Thank God.
Yeah. Well, thank everyone for putting up with my rambling in the chats. I want to shout out the people hanging out with us. I see Rick Davis here, Sam Hall over on Twitch, Savoy Prime, who's about to launch a new podcast with some of our community members. Stay tuned for that, everyone. But Sam, why don't we get through some housekeeping? Because as I've said for weeks now, we weren't going to have a show next week. We were going to maybe do a Friday show after that. Things are just going to go as usual, everyone. So expect us here next Thursday
Carry on.
to do a
Carry
show.
on.
Yeah, carry. Yeah, just keep going. If you are new here if you are new here, welcome. This is Shared Save. We are live every Thursday on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia. If you can't catch us live, post every Sunday on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, make sure to drop us those 5-star reviews. It does help us in the algorithms. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to Save the Game Media content and exclusive bonus content like the exclusive Shared Save episode we put up for patrons just earlier this week. Head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Choose a tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Sam Hall, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silken It, Dave Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, Nikolai at Night, Fabulous Brianna, Brandon, and Black Wyver. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. That's housekeeping out of the way. So Sam, why don't you tell me what have you been playing this week?
The Outer Worlds 2, Kev.
Woo!
I've been playing it for longer than everyone else. I've been playing Outer Worlds 2 for 2 and a bit weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Time flies, except it hasn't. It's a tricky one. I mean, I was sort of relaying with you in Discord prior to it coming out and, the reviews dropping. I was saying, like, I expected mid-80s. That sort of felt right to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it hit, like, 80-ish.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's a bit surprising. I would say I still haven't finished it. I'm, like, 80 hours in. Now, again, obviously, caveat, that is me
Mm-hmm.
having to reload and do like every single choice and consequence and note them down. So that's extending my playtime significantly, especially with this game, considering how much choice and consequence there is. I think I'm more in line with that review score now of
Interesting.
around an
Okay.
80. I would still say, and like I think that is the point of comparison, that it is better than Avowed. I think it is more in line with what Obsidian is best at. But I still think that there is something missing. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of the original Outer Worlds. I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the story of the Outer Worlds one didn't really grab me all that much. But I'm finding that much more of an issue here. Because the companions aren't doing it. I can't remember where I mentioned this. It might have been in Discord or it might have been in a private conversation. It might have even
Yeah.
been the exclusive episode we did or something like that. Somewhere I feel like I've mentioned to you that I've realized
you have.
I've realized about RPGs, like the thing that really cements it as being good or bad, bad for me is companions and the party.
Hmm.
And just again, the companions here are better than the ones in Avowed, but they're still not really like grabbing me in any meaningful way. And that's disappointing. And the story is like pretty humdrum and generic, and it's not to get
Mm,
political, but it's the whole like corporate greed, and it's like yeah, that's a bit slimy considering current happenings. I know some people are getting torn apart for including that in their reviews, but
yeah.
there is a dissonance there when you're playing it and you're like clued into everything going on in the games industry, where it's like, so this is coming from an Xbox studio, and I know that that was what the first game was about as well, but it does feel a bit weird, I must admit.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're making fun of their situation and Xbox as a whole. But also they are selling a game for $70 with that. Like they're doing all this corporate stuff while like poking fun out of it. I get it. They
Yeah,
have
so
to
do I.
do what they got to do. Obviously you can't make a game, put it out for free, and whether the story hits or not. I personally, I haven't played Outer Worlds 2 yet. I see Rick saying he's enjoying it so far. I do want to play it. I played the first one last year, I believe, and
Mm,
I liked it. I didn't love it, and I thought the companions were just okay. Um, I kind of feel the same way about those companions as I do Starfield companions,
yep,
where they're kind of just there. Besides
yep.
Andrasia, who is like, I think undoubtedly the universally loved character in Starfield. But like none of the Outer Worlds, if you ask me their names, I probably couldn't tell you them. I could tell you like interactions I had with them and moments that like stuck out to me while I played the game. That I was like, okay, I'll remember that, but it's not along the lines of like Mass Effect, right? Those
No,
companions
no.
where you like have a bond with most of them, and you're like, oh man, like I really need them to live. I really need to do all their companion missions and stuff like that. So I'm with you that I think Western RPGs, especially like companions, can make or break a game.
Yeah. Um, and I appreciate Obsidian sort of being more in that double A space. I think that that's cool, but obviously, again, like bigger picture, I feel like I don't know if that is the right spot for them
Hmm.
um, under Microsoft, and that's not an indictment on the studio at all because they're doing what they've always done, and they do it well. Like it's a good game, but yeah, I can't quite. Nothing's quite clicking into place with me where I just sort of feel not apathetic to it, but it just sort of feels like this is going to sound worse than how I mean it, but it just sort of feels like content.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like I've done all of this before.
Hmm.
And I know that that's a very easy trapping to fall into with any genre, especially RPGs, but like, I don't know. It just
I I get it because like I've said that I thought the Outer Worlds 2 was way too much marketing. Like I saw it too much. It was
for
like it
sure.
had the death loop syndrome, as we'll call it, right? Um, and every time I saw it, I was like, okay, it looks like the Outer Worlds, but more polished. And that's kind of what the reviews that I've heard. Like I know
Yeah.
Captain Logan played it, and people at Season Gaming, like all the reviews that I trust, everyone finally pretty much comes down on that. If you like the Outer Worlds, you'll probably like this. It's a better version of the Outer Worlds, and that doesn't fill me with like too much excitement because it's like again I thought the Outer Worlds was good, but it's not something like I need to drop every game right now and play the Outer Worlds 2. This
Yep.
is like I want to play it at some point in the future because I know like I'll get good RPG mechanics, I'll get a good gunplay or melee or whatever they're sneaking, stealth, however you want to play the game. Like I know the options are going to be there. I'm going to probably enjoy it. It's not going to overstay its welcome because Obsidian does tend to make like apart from you having to redo every single thing. But like, if you're a normal consumer just playing it, like Obsidian does tend to make, I don't want to say bite size, but manageable
Yep.
RPGs.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people that just sort of played it normally saying that they can finish it in like 25, 30 hours, which I think is feasible. That's not doing much of the side content, I would wager. But yeah, so I think it's a reasonably sized RPG for those that aren't wanting like 100-hour commitment. But
My
there is a lot of replayability, which is good.
mhm.
So,
My question is, we've seen Obsidian a lot this generation. Like they're clearly carrying the Xbox first party, I would say.
mhm.
Pentiment, Grounded, Avowed, Outer Worlds, Grounded 2. Did I forget anything? 5 games this generation.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something I missed. But like, do you think they go again this generation? And what would it even be? Because like now their slate is clean. Like we have no idea what Obsidian it has on the board now. Like we've known they've had Avowed in production, Outer Worlds. Like these are things that have been long-standing projects that we all knew. And now
Mm.
it's like, what's their next thing gonna be?
There's an interesting question. I think it obviously kind of in a way depends on exactly how accelerated Xbox's generation is, right? Um, but let's say, like theoretically, as the thing supposedly stands, that both next gen consoles are 2027. I think that there is a chance that Obsidian could get in, but I think if they do get in before the end of the generation, it would be another much smaller experience like a Pentiment, which,
Mm,
if we're talking about it, I don't know gets greenlit nowadays. Unless they really budget it well and have it like properly scheduled out and it is a very small game. I think that that's possible. What I think is probably more likely, and I know that like that this is a double-edged sword, there's a good and a bad. I I think that they might get chucked into the Fallout machine.
oh no, please.
Um, you know, they've dropped a lot of hints about it. Josh Sawyer has said that he'd be willing to go back
Hmm.
to Fallout after he got to do Pentiment. Obviously, as you just said, their entire studio schedule is clear now. Xbox, since all of these games have been greenlit and been in production and then released, have talked more and more about focusing on the sure bets, the big IP, what's
Hmm.
more beloved than New Vegas. Obviously, Fallout in general, but New Vegas especially. I think something they could do is, I don't know. Here's the thing: Obsidian don't really do remasters of their stuff, right?
No.
So they could, I think, churn out a Fallout New Vegas remaster, which I wouldn't love. I think what's probably most likely is that we don't see them again this generation, but the next thing we see from them is, I would hope, even though I would also like to see them do other niche weird things, is New Vegas 2. I think that that is
Hmm.
probably where we're at with Xbox and Obsidian.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm there. Same train of thought, just based on I can't remember if we talked about it last week on the show or just conversations we've been having in Discord. Come join the Discord, by the way, link in the description.
Mhm.
But about Xbox, their statements about like, it's going to be either no risk big budget IPs that we know are going to sell, or we're going to manage our portfolio very carefully for new things, which to me reads we're going to do very little projects that'll go into Game Pass, not cost very much. They don't really need to sell all that much to make their money back. They're just to keep people engaged in the subscription pipeline. I wonder where Obsidian fits into that, because they are, or they have traditionally been, in the middle of those two
Mhm.
things. That double A space is where they ride. So I'm interested to see where Obsidian goes next. I do think that they have been the standout studio for Xbox, even though like I liked Grounded, didn't love it. I liked Avowed, didn't love it. Outer Worlds, we'll see where I fall with that, but I do think as a studio they are one of high quality.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have the legacy beyond these recent releases to prove that, right? That's the reason they were acquired. So I do hope that Xbox and Microsoft especially acknowledge that and sort
Hmm.
of utilize them for their strengths and allow them the budget and the leeway to continue this kind of frequency of projects, and that would inherently mean more creative, a couple of risky takes here and there, maybe in between safer bets. So hopefully that is the sort of balance that they strike.
Call of Duty support studio. Um, What else you been playing?
Just a couple of small ones. I mean, I spoke about this several weeks back, but I jumped back into Root Trees Are Dead. I'm now playing that with my dad, which is nice. It's like a nice little distraction to keep us both occupied and sort of puzzling.
Is your dad a
Filling
gamer?
in. He was back in the day, with the original PlayStation, and I think he had a Dreamcast.
Hmm.
But then he sort of dipped out. He's always been sort of like tangentially interested, but like has dipped his toe back in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like a decade ago, maybe I got him to dabble a tiny bit in Steam,
Mm.
um, and he played a few puzzlers, specifically Return of the Obra Dinn, which obviously I will gush about whenever I can. And he has sort of become a big puzzle nut like me. So, you've heard me talk plenty on both this show and No Limits back in the day of
Mm.
like, I'm playing a little bit of Blueprints with him. I'm playing a little bit of this or that. And this is the latest one. So filling in a family tree, deducing everybody's profession and age and name and picture and scrolling through documents.
Nice,
It's a
nice.
good little brain teaser. And the last one, Kev, the green gives it
Yeah,
away.
you're finally on the right side of history. You know what is that? Is that a PC case?
Yeah, goddamn right it is.
Hold up, hold up, hold on, hold on. I have two questions for you.
Yeah,
One, are you actually using that disc to play this
no.
game? Okay, I was gonna say
It's
what.
Halo, everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna
Audio
say
listeners,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Halo.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Come
audio
on.
listener. Yeah, Halo Combat Evolved is for the PC version. Where I was gonna ask what PC in 2025 has a disc drive. That's an outdated thing for sure. That's cool you
Yeah.
have that. I remember having that back in the day.
Hmm.
My friends had it playing on laptops and stuff, but like PC physical games, I have not seen one of those in so long.
Yeah. Yeah. Gearbox did this port to
Really?
PC. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I mean,
didn't know
you
that.
probably can't see, but it says, yeah, Gearbox.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Randy Pitchford is in the Halo credits, everybody. He actually is. He seriously. Yeah, if I had a disk drive in this PC, I would use the disk. I would, but I have had to resort to Master Chief Collection. Um,
What would happen if you put that like what does it launch through? Just
I
like
mean,
a
I don't. It's been so long since it's powered by GameSpy.
yeah,
So
because like Steam wasn't a thing when that
yeah,
came
that's
out.
probably not gonna work actually
I was gonna say,
nowadays.
what does that boot up through?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I mean, it says it's for Windows 2000 and XP, so I'm probably out of luck on booting this up on. I mean, again, I don't have a disk drive, but yeah, I haven't played much of it. I mean, obviously, I've played it plenty of times
Hmm.
before, but with the news the past week, I was like, I not really feeling an itch necessarily, but I just sort of wanted to remind myself a little bit. So I went into the Master Chief Collection version
Hmm.
and I reverted the graphics setting back to the
Mm.
original. So I'm not playing with the remastered version. Um, and I've played the first two levels, and it's good. I still
Hmm.
remain pretty critical of Halo overall, but
Interesting.
I still admit that Combat Evolved is a good time. I think it still holds up.
I played through Combat Evolved a few years ago now, probably. Just one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna play through all the Halo. I think it might have been leading up to Halo Infinite. Now that I think about it,
Mm,
I played through Reach, and I had never played Reach before, which I know shocker, but I wasn't interested in not playing as Master Chief. Played through Reach. It's good. So then I went to Combat Evolved, played through it, and there were certainly some growing pains that you could feel going back to it. Where I still overall like love it. A lot of that's probably nostalgia, like just going back to a game that you spent so much time with as a kid. But as we'll get into with the remake, like I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Halo 2
A
though,
little bit
masterpiece.
rough around the
Masterpiece.
edges, but
Halo 2, don't touch it at all. Just port it. Perfect.
you can't you ready your butt for when Halo Studios is like, we're remaking Halo 2
Yeah, I swear to God, if you
and we're adding new content.
I better be able to dual wield needlers because y'all thought that was broken, and that's what we need in Halo 2.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Well, that's great. Little variety of games, old and new there.
I do that all the time. I'm just all over the place with my
Yeah.
game playing, so I apologize.
You are indeed. Yeah, Shokita says, as I learned on the trophy room, Halo 2, 7 out of 10.
Checks out.
I think it was Green Gorilla Gamer over there said 7 out of 10. And I took quite the exception with that game or with that rating because that is absurd. 7 out of 10 for Halo 2. You can leave. Just leave. Just leave. Where do you rank Halo 3? Huh?
Oh, that's like a 15 out of 10, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I like Halo 2 more than Halo 3, but Halo 3 is right there. You know,
Halo 3 is like
9 out of 10.
Okay.
The multiplayer for 3 is,
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Then Halo 4, we'll put it in the bin.
Halo 5, best of them all.
Nope. I don't hate Halo 5 nearly as much as everyone else does. But
yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, I have been playing Stress Simulator. It was a fun game where I would just go lay in bed for hours and scroll on my phone because I didn't feel like doing anything. I did watch some films. I watched Halloween 4, a classic that I love. I also decided for the first time to watch Terrifier.
Okay.
And
Good old Art the Clown.
I will say this. As someone who loves the Saw franchise, who will watch the Saw franchise for fun, to relax, y'all really like this? There's no way anyone genuinely likes these movies. They have to, like, they're garbage. Straight garbage. Oh my God.
I think it's the meme of the memes of art, you know, like he's very clearly sort of some kind of parody, like it's farcical.
I get it. They created a and this isn't a movie podcast, but they did create an iconic slasher villain if you want. But like, oh my Lord. No story. No, this is the movie that everyone thinks Saw is, where it's just gore porn. Saw has plot lines, character development, storylines. This is just like, you want to see this. You want to see this clown saw through a human being. Like, I really don't know. Like, it goes on way too long. Yeah, no, thank you. It's not for me. Not for me.
He's in Fortnite now.
Oh, that's cool. Congrats to him.
I assume probably not with that kind of emote though. That would be a bit much.
Yo, Rick soaking it. Send Clint my way. I'll set him straight. I'll set him straight. Other than that, I did jump into Silent Hill 2 Remake. I was like, okay, nice. It's on PS Plus. It's spooky season. Let's dive in. I played roughly 2 hours of Silent Hill Remake this week. And I gotta say, this is not a Kevin game. I have uninstalled Silent Hill 2 Remake. Not to say that it's bad, because it isn't. Although I will say, it doesn't run particularly well on base PS5. There are some. I'm on performance mode and still some issues here. I don't know what it is. Like, I will say I'm not typically a survival horror guy. Like, I liked Dead Space when I played it. I'm trying to think of, have I even played other survival horror games? Not really. Like Resident Evil's not my jam. So like, I went into this knowing like I probably wouldn't stick with it. But I I felt uncomfortable most of the time playing it, and
Hmm.
I feel like that's by design. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you're not supposed to enjoy yourself while you play Silent Hill 2. And it's not even that I thought that like the game didn't, it wasn't scary per se, like because I could see the enemies like even through the fog. I'm like, okay, I have ammo, I have this piece of wood, I'm gonna beat them to death with. So like it was never like, oh my god, it's too scary to play this game. It's just like kind of looks gross. Like everything looks disgusting. The enemies look disgusting. The environment looks disgusting. And I have this weird thing where like it's kind of like I don't like watching TV shows that look dirty. If you know, like
Mm.
I'm trying to think. True Blood, like that show comes off
Sure.
as dirty to me, and I'm like I don't like watching it. Like it doesn't make me feel like Shameless is another TV show I would say
Mm.
where I'm like it's just dirty. Like it doesn't. I don't like it, and that's kind of what Silent Hill 2 gives me. I made it past the apartment building. If you
Okay.
if you know where that is, so I put it. The puzzles were fine.
Yeah.
They I didn't like some. I got stuck on a little bit, but like nothing too crazy. Gunplay felt all right. That's clearly not what you go to this game for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is one that just it made me feel bad. Like I played an hour, had to stop, came back to it, play another hour, and I was like, I just don't feel good playing this game.
That's fair enough. I mean, I guess in some way it did what it was meant to do, you know? But you gave it the fair college try.
Yes. I see. I think this is who is this? Todd Oxtra over on Twitch. Dirty like Xtina Christina Aguilera.
I mean,
Is
it
that
must
what?
be, yeah.
Yes, it's Todd. Christina Aguilera. Is Christina Aguilera dirty? I'm
I
unfamiliar with.
mean, I'm sure.
I'm unfamiliar with Christina, to be honest with you, Todd. That's all I've been playing though. I downloaded Until Dawn remake. Maybe I'll play through that because that's something I know I like. But Tales of Exiliia also just came out today, so I'll probably play that. And then yeah, and then
Oh,
Kirby's
Todd,
coming
that
out.
makes more sense.
Oh, she sang a song called "Dirty." I'm unfamiliar with the catalog.
Yeah, he caught us out, you know. Fake
Yep,
fans.
fake fans of Christina Aguilera. But that's all I've been playing. So why don't we jump into the news for this week? And we really only have one, maybe two topics, depending on how long we go on this. But excuse me, I got a burp.
Bless you.
Halo Campaign Evolved was officially announced last Friday during the Halo Championship Series for Halo Infinite. Halo Campaign Evolved, as the name suggests, is a remake of the Halo 1 campaign only. No multiplayer for this remake. It will be launching in 2026, and it is coming to Xbox Series, PC, Game Pass, of course, and for the first time ever in the series history, PlayStation. It will be on PlayStation 5 day and date. The remake will boast some new things, like it has 3 new campaign missions that are prequel missions starring Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson. It also has some new weapons that were in later Halo games that they're bringing to Halo 1 to be used. They've added sprinting to the game. They've obviously redone the whole thing, moved some architecture around, but I think the big thing here is obviously coming to PlayStation. But Sam, what are your thoughts? Initial thoughts? Obviously, we can dive deeper and go in any which direction. Halo campaign evolved. How are we feeling?
Well, I would like to open just by saying, in classic Xbox fashion, they botched the reveal, which, you know, I guess I shouldn't be surprised nowadays. But I was watching the World Championships live, not for the World Championships, but to see the reveal, and then they just dumped everything on YouTube and socials and stores. Like, okay, but for the game itself. I have complex thoughts, dear Kevin. Um, I think that on a surface level, it is a hopeful win for the franchise, for the IP. I hope it means that the IP can, at least to some extent, resurge in relevance and
Mm-hmm.
success, just generally. Um, but I also feel I have an ominous feeling in my gut
Mm,
that I had after finishing Gears Reloaded, which I know isn't a one to one,
hmm.
but I have similar sentiments in my mind right now that
Interesting.
it's not going to pan out as well as I pray that it does.
I I'll just give my initial thoughts, and we can touch on that talking point because I think that's an interesting thing that you're feeling. So I also was watching the Halo Championship Series totally because I was really invested in the fight between TSM and Optic. I think it was
Sure.
went out way too long. I think they had 11,000 people in the stream I was watching, and I assume most of them were there for the reveal of this game. Then it just leaked on Twitter, so again, not a good reveal. Very anticlimactic. Just a bad place to announce a game. At least do it at the beginning of the show or something. But right in the middle of like a set is such a weird time. Like when you can't predict how esports are going to go either. So, regardless of that, when I saw it, obviously it's an Unreal 5 remake, and I'll say that it looks good.
Mhm.
I don't want to oversell it and say like, oh my god, the game looks absolutely stunning and beautiful. Like it looks like Halo to me, but like if I took Infinite and put it next to this, I think there are reasonable comparisons where I don't think this looks absolutely so much better than Halo Infinite could ever look. I am curious about how it feels being Unreal Engine 5 now. Obviously, Halo is all about the feel, the sandbox you're playing in. So I'm curious to see how they've actually rebuilt this, if it's a faithful remake. But it looks good initially from what we're seeing. I'm like, okay, that is Halo, clearly. It's got a nice touch up. I go into it and I'm curious about the three prequel missions that Halo Studios is making from the ground up, whether those are going to be put in at the start of the campaign, if they're going to be some sort of like flashback sequences that are going to be interspersed throughout the campaign, if they're a whole separate, like you go to the main menu and it says like prequel missions here and here's the original campaign. Like I would love to see them kind of mix in together to kind of make it flow better. Um, I am not nearly as, I don't want to say pessimistic as you seem to be about the success that this game could have, because I do think Halo, Xbox's flagship IP, going to PlayStation for the first time on its 25th anniversary, no less. I think that cannot be understated. That is a very big deal. We've been talking for years now at this point, right? Since the four games, it's only four games, and then it became not only four games. And I've stated long. I feel that there is an echelon of games that should be off limits to maintain your console identity, to maintain your like to stay loyal to your console fan base. And to me, that was Halo, Gears, Forza, and I would put Fable in there, but I know people don't really consider, like, to me those are the top four because we've
Sure.
had like the most entries in those series probably. But Halo, Forza, and Gears were always the top three. We saw Forza go over, then we saw Gears go over, and at that point, I think it was an inevitability. Halo is clearly going to go over, and we talked about how Gears didn't really set the world alight. Kind of came out to a whimper in sales over on PS5. I think everyone on Xbox, they had Game Pass or they already owned it, so they just got it for free. I am a little more confident that this does better just because it is a full blown remake.
Mhm.
Um, like it's going to feel modern. They've added sprint, modern accessibility things that it's going to feel like a modern game as opposed to Gears of War remastered, which didn't really feel like a modern game. Like that was still very much like, yeah, this is a 360 game with a nice coat of paint on it. So I'm a little more confident that PlayStation will adopt this. But I am curious, why do you feel that this might not succeed?
Um, I mean, I guess we just might agree to disagree in the sense that I accept that it is a different sort of contextual situation than Gears. But I think I worry, I guess, that it will not necessarily hit the same like sales reception because I think just due to novelty alone, um, Halo being on PlayStation will probably sell more copies inherently than Gears being on PlayStation would, even though Gears is one of the big three, like you say. Um, the issue I have is that although it will sell mostly, I would imagine, and that this isn't a discredit to the game because it might be great, due to novelty. But I I still come down to the fact that at the end of the day, it is going to be like a 25-year-old game.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like it's not an Oblivion or even a Gears where it's like it's the old game running on, with a nice new coat of
Mm-hmm.
paint. But it's still at its core is going to be combat evolved, which sort of structurally, and I know I just said I opened the show talking about playing it and being like that it still holds up, and I think it does, but I think it holds up under the context of it being a 25-year-old game. I think when you're trying to sell that to a new audience that doesn't have the nostalgia necessarily for that 25-year-old game and how good it was then, and therefore sort of like you say, um, the nostalgia sort of carries you at least part of the way. I don't know. And also, like, I know it's not necessarily fair, but I would also look in the wider picture at what it will be releasing around next year. Um, and you're going to be facing some stiff competition across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Next year is the year of GTA 6. It's the year of like for in terms of exclusives on PlayStation, you're going to have Saros and Wolverine that we know about. And to be frank, we're probably going to see the majority of next year's Xbox releases on PlayStation 5 as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I know it's still Halo, but I'm not sure that the name is going to carry as much weight when it isn't a new Halo. Because to be clear, I would be saying the same thing if they remade the first Gears and did that
Mm-hmm.
for Gears Reloaded. I would have the same issue of like it's at its core from a design level, it is a 25-year-old game. And I think that discerning players will probably feel that even if they add in these new, mechanics or things to try and make it feel modern, because the game itself and like the levels and everything.
Here's
That is a pessimistic take, I know, but
No, I mean, listen, I understand your point where how many players have played this game before?
that also.
That was kind of a sentiment I heard with the Gears remastered, where it's like, oh, where's the collection? I want 1 through 3, right? Like, and I've seen people already say that, like, oh, where's the Master Chief collection? I want all the Halos, not just Halo 1 remade, because a lot of people have already played that because the Xbox 360 was big. Like, these are titles you probably have a bigger chance of people playing as opposed to games you bring over from the Xbox One, Xbox Series generation, where it has a much smaller install base. I think in order for Halo Campaign Evolved, which I think it's a dumb name, by the way. Like, I don't know if I've mentioned that, but absolutely, I get what they're going for. Just a dumb name. Um, I think in order for it to be successful, Xbox needs to do two things.
Mm.
One, price it appropriately.
Yep.
There's no multiplayer component of this game. There's no microtransactions. I understand it's a remake, but it is, in terms of length, let's say, like, it doesn't take that long to beat Halo 1. It's like a 7-hour game or something, right? Like 8 hours. It's 10 levels long, 13 if you count the new prequel missions, which I don't know how long or deep or big those will be. Obviously, they are touching up some things. I know they've mentioned they're reworking the library, which first time you play that level, awesome. Every other time after that, kind of cumbersome. So I think they're making good adjustments, but you need to price it correctly. I don't think you can put this out at $70, even though it's coming to a new audience, and expect it to be successful, especially when you're launching it on Game Pass, right? Like you need to, I think $50 max for this title
Mm.
would drive a lot more engagement to it. And you need to have it come out to good reviews, is another thing, which right there, I think is something that Gears of War fumbled with the remaster, where Gears of War remastered, I think it had a good price point, $40.
Yep.
I don't think that's an exorbitant amount of money to ask for a remaster of Gears of War. The problem is it came out, the reviews were okay. I think it was like high 70s, low 80s, if that even. But like you had constant reviews of buggy, AI is broken. And these
Yep.
are things that like myself and you experienced where it's like I was glitching through the map. Like it was not a good experience. It was not ready to go. And people see those reviews, especially with PlayStation making their review page even more like more robust, I will say. Like they want users to be reviewing games on their platform more. They need to come out and have Halo Campaign Evolved review really well and show everyone why Halo has been held in such high regard for these 25 years.
Yeah. I just think talking about like the reveal in and of itself, I know theoretically this could be still like a year away. I don't know where in 2026 they expect to release this. That's an interesting point to bring up, I'm sure. But f- in terms of just like fumbling the announcement in general with like the delay and everything, on top of that, you have them. This is the coming out party for the announcement of, as we say, like their biggest IP debuting on multiple platforms for the first time. And I get wanting to synergize, but I would also say that what they showed wasn't ready to be shown because they said it was a work in progress, but it was framey. There were hitches. There were some graphical errors going on. And like I can give them grace. I can, it is a work in progress. I get that. But you also, again, when you're talking about selling to this audience that doesn't have that nostalgia, if we put it in a vacuum, you are showing them a first person shooter that you are saying is the thing that made Xbox Xbox, and you're showing it being framey, and you're showing it without really any context. You're showing a very famous level, of course, silent cartographer. But do PlayStation players understand the lineage and the history of how awesome that mission is? I don't know.
No.
So I think like you're not putting your best foot forward from the get-go, and I know that can be salvaged with like proper marketing when that kicks up. But I think like they didn't have to show that here. They didn't have. They could have teased it. They could have even just shown the name and been
like the logo
exactly, and say it's coming next year, and we'll show more in Dev Direct in January or something.
I personally don't think they should show it in Developer Direct. I think, and you were talking about when do they release it?
Yeah.
For me, they have to be targeting the 25th anniversary, like November. They have to be targeting the actual 25th anniversary to release this.
I mean, that makes sense. But I don't know, because
show the game at your showcase, show it at Summer Game Fest or whatever, and then release it in November.
Yeah, it's weird to me that and I know again, like this is technically not a new game compared to other actual new games that they're shipping next year, but we've seen more of this in the first showing than anything else that we know is coming from Xbox next year.
You're not wrong. We have seen more gameplay of this game than Fable, than Gears of War E-Day, which we've only seen the cinematic
Horizon 6,
for, right? Forza
like,
Horizon, we haven't seen anything
and
from.
again, I get it, like, because this isn't a new game and people know this game and you can show things more easily. That's fine. But I also think that there is potentially a world where this is actually first half of the year. Again, I would agree with you that lining up for the actual 25th anniversary would make more sense. But I don't know if that is going to be the case. I prefer it to be the case because that would give the game honestly the best amount of time to get ready. Especially being the first game that Halo Studios is doing in Unreal Engine 5, which is, as we know, a particularly temperamental engine as of late. and this first showing would back that up. I I just have reservations,
Hmm.
um, and I really hope that it pans out. Like I really want it to succeed, to be clear, but I don't know that they've really primed themselves. Like this is Xbox. Halo is Xbox,
Hmm.
and you're giving it to other people for the first time. And I don't really know that you're ringing the dinner bell, and it doesn't look crazy appetizing right now.
Yeah, I see Todd over there saying with Halo they need to start somewhere to get new players introduced. I think this makes sense, and I do think the Unreal Engine 5 Halo One I think it makes sense, and we
Sure.
we said that when they teased it ages ago, right? Like get your feet wet. It's a probably not too expensive of a project to actually go through because you have the framework, you have things that you can work with. But they do need to nail it, as we're both saying, to get people invested, because they made a whole big deal of having the community manager. I don't even know his official title, but like he comes out in a PlayStation shirt and it's like the future of Halo is on PlayStation. Like I I have weird. I'm not trying to cause a war, but as
No,
someone that
it's
like
yeah,
grew up with Xbox for 25 years,
makes you feel some kind of
as
way.
someone as someone who loves Halo, it felt really, really. I don't want to say disrespectful, but kind of
Yeah.
disrespectful to have them come out and say all these things where we didn't hear much about, like, what is this what is this giving to Xbox besides
Yep.
a game we've already played two
Yep.
times?
Yep.
And not to say I won't play it. I love Halo. I'm absolutely gonna play it and see its new Unreal Engine-ness. But in terms of like what actually Xbox players are getting, it's a game we've played multiple times. This is clearly a game for the PlayStation audience, I imagine. And Rick says it was the director wearing the PlayStation shirt. Yes, I agree. Weird and unnecessary. I imagine eventually this comes to Switch 2 as well.
Hmm.
We know for a fact that Nintendo has been stingy with dev kits for the Switch 2. Xbox just seems to be getting them through. So, like, I think a lot of I expect Gears to eventually go over there with the Reloaded. I expect Halo Remake to go over there. Like, these are games that we're going to see on other platforms, but I still struggle to see what Xbox is doing with these legacy IP that benefits their long-standing audience with things like remakes and remat. Like it almost feels like they've put their flag in the we need to focus on our new consumers and our old consumers. That's fine. We're giving you Fable, which we haven't shown anything of, but it's totally coming next year. Gears of War E-Day, which also kind of feels like they're trying to get new players in by going back to the characters that we love, and they're leaving long-standing Gears fans on a cliffhanger. So, not to say I'm not excited for either of those games. Like I
Of
am
course.
very excited for Fable. Fable is my favorite Xbox franchise. All right, but I have reservations about like, is it going to actually be Fable that I want, or is it going to feel like a Witcher ripoff? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, I don't know. The direction of Xbox has long confused me for a while now, and I just feel like they have made it pretty clear that in terms of their focus, it's not their current consumers.
Yeah. And I say this with no inflammatory intent. I say this with all the love in my heart, but they like we do kind of have to be blunt when talking about it. They are essentially sort of cucking Xbox players. Um,
You see, I saw so many memes
I
of
mean, yeah, I mean that's just
Cortana with Kratos,
not, yeah,
Cortana with a
that's
PS5.
crazy. But
Yeah.
like, and when I say that, I just mean that they clearly, with these products particularly, aren't prioritizing, as you say, Xbox players. Like they aren't for Xbox players. And I think Xbox players need to be okay with that. And I think a lot of them are. Like I think that
Mhm.
you've accepted the new reality now of the multi-platform push, and that's fine. You'll still get the games in Game Pass, even if it's pricier. You'll still get them on the platform that you can buy if you choose to. That's fine. But they are. as we've talked about, like they're going to platforms where people don't have a choice. They have to buy these games at full price. And frankly, they're going to bigger platforms and therefore more people that will have to pay full price. Um, so yeah, like Gears Reloaded wasn't for Xbox players. I would argue Campaign Evolved isn't for Xbox
Mm-mm.
players. And like it's great to have a proper like super high definition version of Combat Evolved. That'll be great. I hope so. And Xbox players will love it, I'm sure. But it's not really for them because you have Combat Evolved on Xbox. You have
Master
Master
Chief
Chief
Collection, yeah.
Collection with Anniversary. Like you have a remaster of Combat Evolved already, which obviously isn't going to look as good as Campaign Evolved, but you still have that. And like you say, like if you've been on Xbox and almost especially only on Xbox, you've played Combat Evolved and other Halos lots of times. And I think that the thing that we haven't touched on yet that kind of concerns me is like Halo Studios in general. Um, I mean, I was very skeptical and a bit concerned about the rebrand in the first place because it feels like, I mean, obviously they have doubled down on Halo. That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
point. But at the same time, like you've doubled down on Halo like that much, where you've named the studio after the game. So that one upsets me because as I've been on my beating my drum saying I would have loved to have seen 343 put Halo on ice for a bit, go try something else devoid of expectations and legacy and comparison, do something new, make people miss Halo, and then come back to it. But that's obviously not what they're doing. So they're just going to be a Halo machine, which inherently isn't like an awful thing. But I
Well,
think,
to be fair, if this game comes out and it's not good, I think we need to have serious questions about the future
well,
of Halo
yes,
Studios.
of course, that sort of goes without
Like
saying.
if
I
you can't
think
even
that
do a remake, and that's not like I liked Infinite. I thought Infinite was
sure,
quite good, and I would have loved to see that continue with campaign DLC. But obviously, the studio had turmoil, and we've seen people say that they've. I think the art one of the art members came out and was talking about like, oh, I'll talk more in 2026, but like there still seems to be some rumblings of turmoil at Halo Studios. So I really do like they need to nail it. And if they don't nail it, we need to have serious questions about the future of Halo Studios.
yeah. And I see Todd saying like I think people miss Halo because it takes 5 to 7 years between games. I think like yes, but I think that that's true of almost any gaming franchise nowadays. You know, I don't think people miss God of War, but
No.
it will have been over 5 years since Ragnarok released before we get the next one, and that's being optimistic. I think the issue with Halo, and again, I've said this before, is that it just hasn't evolved. Ironically enough, it hasn't evolved at all. Like it's the same thing. Like the way that you shoot an elite in Combat Evolved is the exact same way that you shoot and how it reacts. You just get the fizzle of the shield and then it dies. And you ride in a warthog. And I know that there's little things, and you can pick up an energy sword in this game, but like Halo fundamentally is just it's stagnant. And I think that this is the thing that I have with Halo Studios, right? What's the first thing that 343 did when they took over from Bungie? Bungie put out Reach, and then 343 did Combat Evolved Anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then they go on to do 4 and 5 and Infinite. And, you know, as much as people say that Infinite was a bit of a return to form, which I would agree with on the whole, 4 and 5, obviously not the best received. And over
Halo
that
4 actually
decade,
reviewed quite well, but I
I mean,
think
sure, but like
some people maintain, some people say it's really good, and I think,
following on from the trilogy at the
yeah,
very least, it's sort of like,
yeah.
um, over that decade, Halo diminished in relevance as an IP. Um, and they're sort of hitting the reset button again. Like they're doing it again. They've gone back to Combat Evolved again, which like I can again allow them some leeway, but it feels like they tried to mark their own path with Halo once. And yeah, there were high points, but it didn't really pan out. And now that they've redefined themselves literally as a studio, and they've gone back to where it all started again, gone back to Combat Evolved, which again makes sense, especially if you're going multi-platform. That is the place to start. But what does that mean going forwards? Does that mean, as I can't remember who said it in the chat earlier, do they just remaster slash remake Halo 2 next? At which point they would then remaster Halo 3, and you're just retreading the same ground again, and you're introducing it to new audiences. But that's also not really for Xbox players, because you're just feeding them the exact same content again, albeit prettier. And I think, like, you hit the nail on the head for me. You said you're really interested to see what these 3 new missions are, because they're playing with fire now, where Anniversary for Combat Evolved was just like a remaster. They didn't really touch the game, the actual game itself. And you could argue that these 3 new missions aren't technically touching the game, especially if they're segmented off as like an additional, like, Left Behind for Last of Us. Like, it's a separate thing that you play that isn't like naturally woven into the campaign. When they're inserting new content into something that is legendary and beloved, if that new content doesn't hold up quality wise,
Yeah.
you're tarnishing Combat Evolved, and you're also proving your own ineptitude as a studio in terms of harboring this IP simultaneously. And I will give Halo Studios the benefit of the doubt until this game comes out, but I would argue that their track record hasn't been great in terms of driving a new direction for Halo with new content. So that sort of is rounding back to where I started, where I feel that there is more going against this game than people might see on the surface.
So I was going to ask you, because you're talking, about them going back to basics and forging their own path. Like, do we see them say, okay, we're making Halo 1, but then we're going to take it and run with it and make our own Halo 2, which I think would be blasphemy. And
That's
I,
it.
I,
That's the issue they are making for
I
themselves.
know, I know. I think right before the podcast, I saw, and I don't know how, I saw some people saying that there's leaks about Halo 2 and Halo 3 are going to get campaign remakes just like Halo 1. And Halo 7 is in development, which I don't know how we could possibly have all three of those, have all of those being in development at the same time. But like, I, I think, I think remaking them is probably your safest bet,
Yeah,
because
it is.
I don't. If you put out your own Halo 2 and it is nowhere near the quality that Halo 2 is or Halo 3 is, you're setting yourself up for a massive backlash. I do not think that would be a wise decision. But then that also ties up Halo for years
Yep.
in just remakes, which again doesn't do much for the existing audience. Like, remakes are great. I love a good remake. Trails in the Sky remake, one of my favorite games of the year, but that's because they don't come around that often. Like, the Resident Evil, I think, has done remakes really well, but they've like fundamentally changed things. So unless we see like new additions to lore, new cutscenes, like, do we really want one-to-one remakes of games that I would argue are still good to this day? Like, you could just put Halo, you could put the Master Chief Collection on PS5 and call it a day.
Yep. But that means they only get one $70 rip out of you, Kev. They wanna get,
Sell it piecemeal.
I mean, not 70 a pop, because
Sell it piecemeal.
Christ, but like 40 to 50 a
$40, yeah,
pop.
$40 a game. Sell it piecemeal.
Yeah. Which is, again, like you said, it's the safest bet. And when you're talking about 30% profit margins and not taking risks, it's what are the beloved things that we know are going to make us money. And it's going to, one, net in the whales and the Xbox diehards and the nostalgia baited people. They're gonna buy this stuff because they love these games and they want everything they can have about these games. But we're also going to give the best possible version of this game to new consumers who've been sort of watching from over the fence for years. And like, again, it's not a one to one, but I look at other Xbox studios and I think like Gears E-Day is a slightly different kettle of fish because it is going to
Yeah,
be like a
it's a
brand new
new
original
game.
game.
It's a, I yeah, I
But like you,
and
like, but
Coalition, there is no doubt about their quality.
no, but like you say, they abandoned the story and the cliffhanger of Gears 5. And, you know, and I mean, again, I don't mean this critically. They are going back to nostalgia bait and sort of play on the most beloved era of Gears, which is like, that's again, that's fine. That's smart. Particularly because Gears 5, and again, like the story that Coalition were forming wasn't as much of a hit.
Gears 5
Um,
is my least favorite Gears, so
yeah. And I think that that is general consensus as well. I would still like to see that story wrapped up, but they switched gears, ignoring the pun, and have gone back to the start. And I think the point I'm making by bringing that up is it might potentially present the same kind of problem that we're talking about now with Halo, where, okay, so you've gone back to a prequel that's going to tell a new story with these characters, but what the Coalition do after that? Because if E-Day is a success,
well,
what they're
Gears
going to
2
then
and
suddenly
3 need
drop
to
Marcus and
2 and
Fe-
3 need to come back. Yeah,
it's like, so does that mean that if E-Day succeeds, you're now going to tell the are you going to tell the same story again, or are you going to
no, they're going to
do
contract.
something
They're going to
else?
call up their friends at Virtuous, and we're going to get some remasters out real quick. Port over. Well, you could probably remaster 4 because it's stuck on Xbox One at 900p, right? Remaster 4, port over 5, and now you're all caught up. And I, I don't know what the time for. Like again, these are things where I'm like, I don't. They're gonna have to contract other studios because I think it's absurd to ask Halo Studios and Coalition to do these things, but like contract other studios, don't take forever. Like you need to, if your plan is to get the remasters out for Gears and I would say Halo, even like we got to be doing at least one a year, and even then for like remasters, I really think it should be more than that. Like Gears 2 and 3 probably should be coming out. Like develop them simultaneously, put them out around like 6 months apart or something.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's a weird conundrum they've put themselves in because like who's going to be excited for Gears 3 remastered in 5 years if they take ages to actually put it on PlayStation and Switch.
Yeah, and I mean not even just that, but like you are doing this brand new, like super high def. Like if that trailer for E-Day is at all indicative of visuals, like holy
Yeah,
hell.
yeah, yeah.
So you're doing that, and you're bringing Marcus back. You're bringing like the OGs back, and but then Coalition is gonna like leave them there again, like, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna jump back to Gear 6.
Yeah. Now
So, like that
you have to
doesn't make
play
any
through
sense
all of
to
them.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll play through all of them. And then
That doesn't check out to me because I think they'll just be like, hey, we're gonna tell another story in this time period
give me Gears Tactics
with
2.
the
That's what we
OGs.
need. That's Gears Tactics 2 rules. Gears Tactics
And
rules.
like you know, you talking about Fable. Do we get
You're not getting a Fable
remasters
collection. No, no,
of
no.
Fable?
I very much view this Fable project as like a reboot, and I don't think like I'm sure there'll be nods to the older games, but I don't think they care at all about giving people the chance to experience Fable 1 through 3.
Yeah, but see, the problem then inherent to me is that the logic surely would apply in the same way to Gears as it would to Halo, as it would to Fable. I know, again, we're saying like this Fable game is like a reboot, So it would be inherently a jumping in point. But if it is a reboot and what you don't want it to be, which to be frank, from the gameplay that I've seen, it does seem to be leaning more in a witchery direction.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that isn't the full extent. I hope it is somewhat at least true to the originals. Is that going to be enough to, one, satiate longtime fans of the IP, and two, is it going to be able to differentiate itself enough from the competition when you're going to have Witcher 4 on the horizon, not only on Xbox but on PlayStation as well? I I don't know. It seems it's a mess. It's a mess, and I don't know how any of it's going to shake out. It's just us pontificating, but
Todd says, I do worry Microsoft isn't going to put many resources into Halo or Gears unless they can grow the audience significantly and add lots of DLC. These teams could be headed to COD as support. So, oh God, please do not let that. That would be the worst possible fate for for the coalition, especially because they're like masters of Unreal. All the Gears games are at least good to great. Like, I think that would be horrible. Halo, like I said, if the remake doesn't hit, we need to have a serious talk about their future. But that would genuinely be terrifying, and a not great fate for them. But I I think what this comes down to, Sam, is Microsoft did not plan to initially do this third party publisher approach.
mm,
So when they pivoted to that and decided to start putting remasters, remakes, bringing games over, they don't have a concrete plan of like, where do we like how far back do we go? Because we've had games from the 360 generation, like we've had games for the Series X generation. Like, how do they decide which ones are worth, like, a Sunset Overdrive worth doing? Is Rise Son of Rome worth doing? Is I'm trying to think what else Xbox One had. Now, is Recore worth? No, the Recore's not worth doing. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do they pick and choose which games are worth porting from their exclusive catalog? And when do they, like, when's the cutoff for a franchise? When's the how much do they invest in that? Is it like put one out, see if it sells? If not, like, that's the only one you get, because then that's such a weird thing to do to an audience you are supposedly trying to get into this series. Are you just expecting everyone to say, oh, here's the new one, we don't really like, just make the new one so they don't need to know the old games? Is that an approach that they're going to take if they can't build player bases with remakes, remasters? Because maybe it is, maybe they design the new games in a way where you have a little story recap at the start, or it's just new characters. And I don't know. I don't know what the future of Xbox looks, but it's very clear to me they didn't have this all planned out when they started.
I mean, I don't know that they had much planned out. Um, I think the final point I would make, and again, I say this as neutrally as I possibly can. The problem is that the th- theoretically, visually, conversationally, the biggest IP going over to PlayStation are like Gears and Halo. Obviously, Forza is massive, but like in terms of like
Forza's been their biggest
gamers,
success.
exactly.
Honestly, like, I wonder if Halo remake hits Forza Horizon
I
5, Forza
that's
Horizon 6 numbers.
I don't think it will, even on novelty. But the inherent issue is that Halo and Gears, and I guess referring slightly back to the thing of like not evolving, or 343 doing new IP, it all bundles in together because Gears and Halo have been around since the beginning, right? And they've been an ongoing series with continuity and story across now 2+ decades. So, with the multi-platform push, the problem then becomes that if it is an ongoing series, which both Halo and Gears are, and you want everybody on these new platforms to be up to speed, you have to do something at the very least with every single one of those games. And obviously, Microsoft is in the nickel and diming, so they don't want to do a Master Chief collection or a Gears, a Marcus Phoenix collection. They want to do individuals, and they
Hmm.
want to make it look nice and shiny so that they can justify the highest price that they can get out of you. The difference is that, and again, neutral. I'm not console warring. PlayStation, if they did the same thing, it would be a far easier, far smaller venture for any of these studios because
They let IPs die.
essentially every generation there's a new IP, because it would be the equivalent of PlayStation going back and saying, "Hey, for the sake of us, let's bring Sly over to Xbox." Or actually, no, let's say something more
Sly is
instrumental,
probably yeah. I think
like a
there's like
larger IP from PS2.
I mean God of War is probably the biggest
Sure.
one,
So let's
right?
say like the original God of War trilogy, right? And I know technically that's messy because God of War 2018 is a reboot, but like
I go, yeah.
if you're trying to tell the comprehensive Greek, shall we say, Kratos story, you only have a handful of games to do that with.
You really only need 1 through 3, right?
Exactly.
Like I
You
know
know,
there's spin-offs like on
you
the,
could do the PSP and you could
but you
do
don't
Ascension
need
if you
to. You
wanted
don't
to, but really
need
you don't
to.
need them. So that's the difference where, and you could even like go more modern. You could say even Uncharted, like Uncharted at max is
Well,
5 games if you count Lost Legacy.
so like I think you bring up a good point, and like I said, I don't plan PlayStation to go multi-platform anytime soon, if ever. Nintendo's especially, but like I think like even if you just did God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok and just said like you don't need, because I haven't played the Greek trilogy, but I don't
Mhm.
feel like I feel like I like get a sense of creative like, oh okay, like I feel like I can play those games and not feel like I'm missing much, as opposed to like if I play, I think Sly Cooper would be weird if you like gave just a random one without the context of the other ones,
Yeah.
because those are a continued story. Ratchet and Clank, I almost feel like there's way too many Ratchet and Clank. Like you would have to essentially bring, I think 2016 and Rift Apart probably, and pretend the other ones don't exist. Like I think you could probably get away with that, but even though like they do exist. So I there are apples to apples comparisons between IPs that have, but by and large, like the Ghost series, right? Like you just have to bring 2 games over. You don't even have to bring both, or you can bring one of them.
Yeah.
But they don't have to bring anything because they're all going to be on Steam apparently for their next console, right? So like Xbox players, if you buy the new PC hybrid, which is all but confirmed at this, but like they might as well just come. They basically have come out, said as
Yeah.
Sarabon and Satya at this point. They've all but confirmed it. It might as well just tell us the name, but it very much does seem that they're going to give us the console PC hybrid approach. So those games will be playable on Xbox to the Xbox audience for the first time, and I don't really think Sony cares.
No. I mean, there was the whole like, are they going to block it? And I was thinking like when that conversation first kicked up that they would block it, but then as multiple people in the industry have sort of prognosticated, it financially doesn't really check out for Xbox if things go the way that it seems to be pitched that it's going to go. So maybe they are seriously going like it's going to be a direct to consumer, direct to order kind of very high margin unit thing. And they aren't really going to therefore be that fussed about making less of a cut, if any cut, depending on your purchasing habits on
Mm-hmm.
the other storefronts. Maybe. But like, going back to you saying about God of War, 2018 was an evolution. It was technically a
Mm-hmm.
continuation, but it was an evolution and a reset point. And none of these franchises on Xbox's side have had that. Now, Fable could be a perfect example of that,
Yeah.
where Fable, for all intents and purposes, could somehow, technically, even though it's a reboot, be a continuation of a sort. maybe.
Fable is God of War 2018.
Yeah, and I think it could be that or the equivalent. But Halo and Gears haven't had that. And that's what I was saying about Halo not really evolving. Because if Halo did evolve in like a tangible, really meaningful way, I'm not saying it had to suddenly become a third person shooter by any means. That inherently then would have created a at least closer jumping on point. I mean, I'm wearing a Marvel shirt for Christ's sake. You've reached the point with the MCU where there feels like there's so much homework to do that it just puts people off of doing it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're coming to PlayStation now with Halo and you're saying, "Oh, we're about to put out Halo 7. So if you want to know what's going on in Halo 7, make sure you play all of these first, please." Oh, and that means that you're going to have to give us like $400. That's going to be a tough sell. So unless Halo 7 is a reboot, but then that's going to have Xbox players feeling a certain kind of way because they would love a continuation of the story or whatever, or it might feel that they're retreading old ground because they're kind of starting from scratch again. And then that is like Halo Studios. Can they deliver that starting from scratch thing? And that's sort of the point I was making about E-Day of like, yes, they're going back to before Gears 1. It's a prequel, but do they, and again, this is going to have Gears fans feeling a certain kind of way, do they use that as a launching point to just say, we're going to do a new Gears series that still focuses on those OG characters? We've brought them back for this game, so we might as well keep them around. And that way, E-Day comes to PlayStation
I
5
don't
day and
think you
date.
can do that.
Hey, but in the same way that E-Day is like a surefire bet because you're bringing back the OGs, you're playing Mad World in the trailer, you know, you're bringing it back to that old era of Gears. You're not bringing Cat and
I
all the other characters.
I would be pretty upset if they decided they
I'm
were
sure
going to.
a lot of people would be,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the
go down that
the
route.
money
Yeah.
speaks louder than the fans, clearly.
Uh,
So yeah,
Todd put in the chat, is it sad that Xbox has 4 really good published games released and releasing, and we're just talking about Xbox issues? Marketing is a hot mess. And I've kind of seen, and I'm not directing this at you, but I've kind of seen this sentiment across social media where people have framed it as, oh, people only like to talk about Xbox negatively.
yeah,
People don't like to sell it. And I feel, again, Todd, totally not directing at you. We talked about Ninja Gaiden and
mhm.
Keeper and we talked about that last episode. Like that was we're going to talk about games episode. And I think we even started this conversation where I'm excited for Halo remake.
So am I.
But I I think people that only talk about the I don't want to say positive, people that ignore negative issues with one brand or another or in the gaming space in general, right? I think that is almost toxic positivity, and it almost leads me to believe that those people don't have critical thinking skills to, and I'm not trying to call anyone in particular out right here, but there are definitely people that like their whole persona, their whole podcast is just everything's great, Game Pass great, games great. And it's like you're not really an industry analyst at that, but you it's great if that's the type of podcast you prefer to listen to, if that's what you like, more power to you. I like some of those podcasts as well. Like sometimes I just want to feel good or like have a fun time with friends. But the type of content I prefer to listen to and I prefer to make is that more industry. And Sam, obviously, him and I agree on this because we've had these conversations. Like I prefer to analyze the industry,
Nuanced.
nuanced conversations where it's not really negative, positive, where I'm sure things can go negatively, things can go positively, but you just tackle what you think, use your critical thinking skills to try to project where you think things are going in the future. I've been wrong about plenty of things on this show, Project X Talk. I've been right about plenty of other things too. And I think that's worth noting that other people don't put themselves in that situations. And even when they're wrong, which they are wrong a lot of the time, because with toxic positivity, it's just Xbox is going to dominate the like those types of podcasts. They don't address when they're wrong because they'll shift their narrative to, well, this was always Xbox's plan. You're not seeing the 4D chess move. And again, I'm using Xbox, but this applies to PlayStation,
Yeah, of
Nintendo as
course.
well. Yeah, for sure. So it's like, I just prefer a little more nuance and critical thinking in my podcasting. That's all. And I
Yeah.
hope everyone listening to it appreciates that we try to have these discussions. We try to have intellectual like back and forth.
Yeah, and we don't have the answers, right? We're just prognosticating on things that we don't know how they're going to play out. But I see Nissa saying like people only talk about Xbox negatively. I would say that is
That's a
potentially dependent on.
wild that's a wild comment. Like Xbox is not the reason the industry is having issues. Like Xbox has issues, PlayStation has issues, but they are not the sole reason. Like they didn't make Amazon lay off all their game staff, you
No,
know what I'm saying?
no, and I think people there is extremism on both sides of the conversation where people have blinders on, where they see Xbox doing this and that and they don't like it, and then they will not accept that there is anything good going on in the world of Xbox. And there are people on the opposite side where they like the things that they're getting, or they still think that Game Pass holds value or whatever, and they will therefore refuse to be critical of the brand. And that pertains to a realistically minority of the fan bases, or fandoms, or whatever you want to call it. I would also say it pertains to who you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
As you sort of suggested, that there are podcasts out there that will only be one of those two things, and they will only be either mouthpieces for Xbox and sing their praises and do nothing else for whatever reason, or there'll be people that only want to rage bait you and talk negatively
Oh
about
my
Xbox
God.
all the time. I you know, I'm not an Xbox fan, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
I
Just like I wouldn't say I'm a PlayStation fan.
Sure,
I
exactly
I
right.
play PlayStation games.
Yes, I play Xbox games,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but there is no denying, for better or for worse, that Xbox are currently, and for the past few years, have been the most turbulent and sort of upending of norms, again, for better or for worse. And thus, I think that inherently, from good faith people that are making good faith arguments and conversation, that inherently means that they are going to be drawn more into the crossfire than anybody else, because they're the ones making the biggest moves. And anybody that has that conversation but ignores either issues or comparisons with other platforms, they're
Mm-hmm.
being disingenuous. But I think that even obviously this is an Xbox centric episode because we're talking about Halo. I don't think that, and this isn't directed at Nissa or anybody that might have any kind of feeling about this. It's just a general statement of like, I think people, again, not having blinders on in terms of the content that they produce and the opinions that they share. I also think that viewers, and that would include me and you when we watch podcasts, we also shouldn't expect that there is a conditional thing where the people that share their opinions have to constantly caveat and say that, but this is an industry-wide thing,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
this
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
We can have a conversation that is directed at one specific thing and also simultaneously, without actively acknowledging it, accept the fact that there are comparable issues or comparable benefits in other places.
And people
Um,
don't have to agree either with what they're
no,
listening
absolutely.
to, which
If
I
somebody
don't
in
agree
this
with a
chat,
lot of podcasts I listen to.
hey, we don't agree all the time.
That's true. That's true.
So like if somebody comes into the chat and says like, Sam, you're talking a load of BS, like that's fine. If you're engaging me in good faith and you say authentically that you feel a completely opposite way, that's fine. I have no issue with that. In the same way that if somebody argued to me, I still see like abundant amounts of value in Game Pass, I would completely
Mm-hmm.
disagree with you. But if that's how you are as a consumer and that's your lived experience, that's your lived experience. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. We can agree to disagree. So um, I think as people have mentioned in the chat, like Xbox did mess things up. I think that's easy to accept. They've messed up messaging and marketing, and they've messed up pipelines, and they've messed up strategies.
But they've also put out a lot of good games.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, I think that it's no denying, even if it's been hit and miss, that this generation, in terms of consistency and quality, have been better than last generation. So that's a
Hmm.
marked improvement, like point blank, period, to quote Paris Lily. So I think people should be willing to accept that Xbox make good games. Um, yeah, I think that the
Yeah, I don't
nuanced
think that's a
conversation is
question
worthwhile.
anymore. At least I hope it's still not. If there are people out there that are
Again,
genuinely doubting,
disingenuous.
yeah, doubting the credentials of Xbox making quality products at this in 2025, if it was 2015, sure, I get your point. We didn't have much going on, all right. But 2025, like we've had a good generation of video games,
Yeah.
despite all the issues. And I will say, like, we criticize PlayStation for not talking enough, for
Yep.
not their releases being few and far
For
between,
killing Concord.
for killing Concord. Yes, that's the number one reason I criticize them. No, but I appreciate everyone listening. I all of your opinions in the chat. I know I've been messaging, but yeah, this is I just I don't know why went on a tangent, but I did just kind of wanted to get off my chest. Like, that's the kind of content we're looking to produce, and I'm glad you all seem to be on board with that as well. So, do we
Yeah.
have anything left to say about Halo?
Again, I really hope that it succeeds. I
Me
think,
too.
again, like, truthfully, it has a lot going against it, in my opinion. But I really hope that Halo Studios rise to the challenge, rise to the moment, rise to the occasion, and deliver something. And as I said right at the beginning of this conversation, I really hope it is a resurgence for the IP and that it becomes relevant and successful again. Because I think that, as much as I have real issues with Halo, game wise and gameplay, I think that it is important to hold on to. And I think that if PlayStation fans accept it and welcome it and support it and play it and buy it, then I don't see any world where there isn't a bright future for Halo in general, whatever that looks like. And I'd rather Halo be around in some form than not
Hmm.
at all ever again. So, yeah.
Also, if anybody's looking for to do 4-player legendary runs, hit me up.
If anybody has a CD drive, let me know, because
Yeah, one you could plug into a computer in 2025. I wonder how much that goes for. All right. Well, let's move on to our Patreon topic for the week. Remember, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write into the weekly topic submission thread. I will choose one topic that will be our Patreon topic for the week. All other topics will be put in a bank and saved for our Patreon exclusive monthly episode. I was going to pick Rick Davis initially. Rick, I know you're in the chat because you had a nice topic about, my trip and paradise and locations. I will save that though, just with everything that's happened, and we'll go with Black Wyver, who put in a topical or a timely question. So they said, for the weekly episode with Halloween around the corner, what are your gaming rituals, if any, for Halloween?
interesting. I don't know that I necessarily have a ritual that I sort of actively employ around Halloween. But what I will do, I mean, it's super generic, right? Like, I think, like, the typical answer for this is like, "Ooh, I'm going to play a spooky game in October." Um, but I, over the past couple of years, in for Americans, the fall and winter months, shall we
Mm-hmm.
say,
Yeah, the
or
good
autumn,
seasons.
as we call it here, which
We
is
we
like,
we call it autumn.
but this is, fall is more commonplace,
Yes,
surely.
yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Our daylight savings expression is fall back, spring forward.
Right, excellent,
Yeah.
fantastic. Get out of here, it's autumn. I have found myself wanting to play specifically one of the three Resident Evil remakes. Um, typically, that's not three. I haven't gone back to that one, but I
Hmm.
will. I've pivoted. I've done two the most, obviously, but since four has come out, that sort of entered the rotation where I'll play through that. Um, so I don't know what I'm going to do this year. I haven't really thought about it. Obviously, for obvious reasons, the past couple of weeks I haven't really
Hmm.
had much forward planning in my head. But now that it's a topic, I think you know what, just for like comfort's sake, just to make me happy, I probably will just go back to two again
Yeah.
because I think that I can play that game, especially the remake. Just I could play that every other week and still be
It,
pretty happy. So
are you are you familiar with Dragon Ball Z?
sure, yes.
There's a YouTube video called Vegeta Plays Resident Evil 2. Highly
Mm,
recommend it. It's
okay,
quality.
okay.
Just for laughs. Um, I, 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 I personally try to play at least one scary game every Halloween, fall, autumn. Obviously, I've been a bit preoccupied with wedding planning this year. And my fiance is actually unfortunately sick right now. So we haven't really had much time to do anything besides watch horror movies. Um, we were going to play Directive 8020 for
Oh,
October. That was going to
yes,
be our spooky game. And then Supermassive decided to delay it and put focus on Little Nightmares 3 for God knows what reason. Those games are yeah, no, I'm not a fan personally. I understand they have their fans.
sure.
But we do try to play at least like a Dark Pictures esque game every single Halloween season. That's why I downloaded Until Dawn. So maybe we'll
Mm,
like start that and play that the remake on PS5. Which I told her, I'm like, this is a game we already played, but like it'll look different. And she's like, oh well, is the killer going to be the same? I'm like, yeah, probably. Um, but I think it's more just about the experience. So I do try to play a spooky game, usually Dark Pictures games. But I've been through them all, and unfortunately, they delayed the newest one I was looking forward to. So hopefully, I think that's supposed to come out at the beginning of next year,
mm,
quarter. Hopefully, unless I'm misremembering. But I am looking forward to jumping into that. So those are really my Halloween traditions: movies and narrative based games, walking simulators, whatever you want to call them.
yeah. I mean, you've got to wait for. Why am I forgetting the studio name? Jesus Christ, I'm a PlayStation person. Oh, you got to wait for Fire Sprite to put out Until Dawn 2, right?
I will be I will be there
So will I,
for Until Dawn too. I don't even
assuming that's what they're doing.
like it can be bad even. Like
Yeah.
if it comes out and reviews like a 60, I'm probably still gonna play it, to be honest with you, just because like it's a style of game that my fiance and I always have fun with.
Hmm.
And we've played some. It's funny because like I played a few by myself and then I went back and played them with her, like Man of Medan. When I played it, I was like, this game's not very good. And then I played with her, I was like, I actually really like this one. This one's pretty good.
Mm,
And then I played through Until Dawn, and I was like, I remember really liking this, and now I'm like, it's kind of the middle of the pack for me in terms of like these style of games. Little Hope is still awful. So if you're ever curious about which ones to play, which isn't a common opinion. I don't know if you're familiar with the Dark Pictures fans. They love Little Hope, and I don't get
interesting.
it. I don't get it.
Is that
Horrible
the
game.
witch one?
Yeah, it's one where you walk down a road for 2 hours, then you get some Salem witch trial flashbacks, and the game's over in like 3 hours.
Hey, I mean, this might sound like blasphemy, but that seems like a lot of supermassive games to me. So,
I love supermassive games.
hey,
The
whatever
Devil
floats
in
your boat.
Me is fantastic.
Uh, which one's that?
The serial killer one.
Oh, yeah, okay. Which is the one that was like completely busted and broken when it came out at launch? There was
Uh,
one that I saw like tons of reactions to where it was just like completely
I'm
balked.
I'm not sure. That might have been what is the one with Ashley Tisdale, the one in Afghanistan. Um,
Oh,
I can't think of it now.
um, um,
What is this
House
game
of
called?
Ash.
Yes, House of Ashes. Yeah, that might have been that one. I didn't play it at launch though. That was
Maybe.
one I got on sale with the Callisto protocol. Double yes, Todd. I did play the casting of Frank Stone, which is on Game Pass now. If anyone is looking for a spooky game to play, also not very long.
Might I also recommend Redfall?
No. I thought the casting of Frank Stone was fine. I think I would have liked it more if I was a Dead by Daylight fan. So, like, I know Luke Lore, XEP, shout out Xbox Expansion Pass, big Dead by Daylight fan. Maybe he would enjoy it more than me. I can't remember if he played it, but like, I did find this one a little lacking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I see your question. I caught your question, soaking it. Yes, I am. I am going to be playing 1,000
You're
Tons
playing
Resist.
1,000 Exorcist. Yeah. I'll play it eventually.
You will. Hey, and that's a good point. Actually, talking about Halloween and horror games, I just shared in the Discord earlier on. There is a humble bundle currently going on where you can get 13 horror games for $13, so $1 a game, and that includes mouthwashing.
Oh, wow.
That includes Buckshot Roulette, Arctic Eggs, Threshold, and there was another banger in there. Who's Lila?
I was specifically told don't play Arctic Eggs.
Okay, I will admit, Arctic Eggs kind of weird, right? It's a critical reflex, like it's a bit of a strange one. But I would say, I mean, put it this way: that humble bundle for $13,
That's a good deal.
like $3 more than mouthwashing alone, and I would say mouthwashing is worth the price alone. So you're getting mouthwashing for basically free, shall we say, and you're paying $1 and a bit for each of the other games. If you're wanting spooky games, I don't know that you're going to find a better deal than that currently. And not all the games in that list are like look that great, but for like the 5 or 6 top selections, including Who's Lila, I would do it. I'm going to do it, and I already own a number of them. So,
well, you got your critical reflex plug in there. We should really look into a sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best. Hit me up. I'm right here.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for today's episode, guys. Went quite long on Halo. We do have something else that we might say for the Patreon episode. I think you guys will like. It'll be a bit of lighthearted fun. So look for that in November. Sam, until next week, because we will have an episode next week.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
People can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney. That's HEANEY.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. 1-7I, own 7A. Follow us at Save the Game Media on Blue Sky to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week, we will see you